Okay, so we are live. I just woke up, uh, and I thought to myself, let's go ahead and do another unboxing video because I got a lot of stuff to unbox. and I hadn't done any for like the past few weeks because I've just been tired. And I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to be tired and do unboxing videos. I don't even care anymore. So yesterday I did the Mego 50th anniversary Green Lantern figure because I found that at Walmart, and I'm like, I need to do that because I've been looking forward to that one for a while. And then I've had this that arrived from Amazon the other day. This is DC Multiverse Batman from Mcfarlane Toys, and it is Batman from Hush. So, yeah. So this is going to be based on Jim Lee artwork, but I still feel like just looking at it in the box, it looks like it's going to be a good classic blue and gray Batman. So with a little bit of that Jim Lee flourish to it. Jim Lee being one of the more popular Batman artists these days. Not my personal favorite, but he's good. He's good. I mean, he's no Neil Adams. Neil Adams. That's the one to beat for me. Anyway. But yeah, not a lot to say about the packaging. We've been over the packaging on these before. They're kind of dull, a little bit dull, but it does have a nice illustration of Batman on the back by Jim Lee. Like I said, I don't see any cross-sell artwork on here, so I don't see any credits or anything like that. I like to read credits when I see them on here, but I don't see any on this one. So let's go ahead and open them up. Why waste any more time? So here we go. And just a reminder, even though I'm doing these as live streams for my convenience, they're not really intended to be live streams that, I answer a lot of questions or anything like that. This is basically just me doing a video and I'm doing it live. But if you would like to interact with me in the chat, and I would like to answer questions in the chat if I get them, make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the little bell down below. I think it's on this side. And that way you can be informed anytime I go live with one of these videos if you would like to interact with it. So if you just want to sit there and watch it or, whatever, that's fine. It's really just meant to be you just sit there and watch it. But I don't mind interacting with the chat. I like interacting with the chat. So let's see. There are some little plastic tabs holding. So there's one here at his leg. This seems like it's really random how they did these plastic tabs on this one. Because this leg has one, this leg doesn't. Neither of the arms seem to have them, and the neck doesn't seem to have them. And so there's one at the leg and one at the waist right above his utility belt. Probably need to get a sharper blade on that one. It's not cutting like it should. But whatever, that's just the one that I have over here while I open my action figures. I have a sharper one I use for my hobby type stuff. And we might want to try to cut through the package to get that cape out of there, because you see they got the cape through there, through a hole, and the hole is thinner than the cape actually is. I'm guessing they probably, kind of folded up the cape to slide it through there, but I don't really want to do that. I'm just going to throw this package away anyway, so might as well just cut it open, give myself a little more room. And we do have two more parts that are in here before I get to the main figure, which is two alternate fist hands. And we are definitely going to discuss those because I noticed something interesting about them. So I'm hoping I have handy, because I thought that I had him over here. Yes, there he is, right over there. So I can go ahead and grab him. So there are the two fists. And they both look like the same fist, only, one's for the left hand and one's for the right hand. and you can see there's some detailing to it. Hopefully you can make that out. Where there is some ribbing to it, and like almost like a brass knuckle kind of thing going on. So hold it across on the fingernail. That's what you want to see, isn't it? Hang on a second. All right. So I wanted to compare him a little bit with the Three Jokers Batman figure. And this is one of my favorite Batman figures that Mcfarlane's done so far. It might be my favorite. I even bought a second one so I could repaint it to be blue and gray, which Mcfarlane themselves actually did in a really expensive 5-pack. But I got one when it was on sale over at GameStop for $10. So I'm like, I'm just going to take this one and repaint it to be in blue and gray. Because, like I said, I like a blue and gray Batman. And they've got one coming out that's going to be more in the Bronze Age style, like it's labeled as a Nightfall Batman, but it works just as well as like a Neil Adams type of Batman. And of course, Jim Aparo drew a lot of Nightfall, so of course it's going to look like his artwork. If you want to do a Nightfall Batman figure, so looking at his hands that are actually on the figure, this is the thing that I wanted to discuss. Is you can see that these hands are much more sort of plain, just plain gloves, like the way that Jim Lee actually drew them in the comic book, like the way that Batman's gloves are traditionally drawn. Can't really get the light to hit it right. And it doesn't want to focus correctly, but you get the idea. So, however, for whatever reason, as I pointed out, these hands have the detailing to it, which, as I suspected, it's the same ones that, came with Three Jokers. So yeah, and I was thinking they probably had some parts that they used in common because it's a basic Batman figure. So I kind of wanted to compare and see what parts that they shared, what parts I could figure out that they shared anyway. So it like his neck joint is a little stiff. I think I spotted another little problem, but I'll get to that in a second. Is that a problem on this one? I've never noticed on this one. No, they seem to have not had that problem on this one. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So right out of the package, a couple of things kind of bother me about this particular figure. I'm not talking about like the figure in general, but this actual my copy of it. And I'd have to imagine that at least one of these is going to be a problem for anybody who buys this figure. Is that his fins on his gloves here? They're a little warped from being in the package, and also his ears. If you can see his ears are a little warped. One of them is anyway. I'll leave it up to you to decide which one it is. Some people like the ears to be curled in, and some people like the ears to be straight up. But I think the straight up one is definitely more accurate on the Jim Lee design of Batman. So looking over the two figures and comparing what's there, it looks like to me that the main parts of these figures share is the upper arms. They have different forearms entirely, but the upper arms look to be about the same. The abdominal muscles look to be about the same. You can see they both have the same wrinkles. See the wrinkles there, and that one, the wrinkles there. Sorry, this is like reverse of looking in a mirror for me. It's kind of confusing sometimes. The boots are different because the Fabok artwork had more the Batman '89 inspired boots, not the same boots because the points are facing downwards instead of upwards, but definitely inspired by the '89 boots, whereas the Jim Lee has the more traditional comic book boots. I think the trunks might be the same sculpt, if not actually the same mold. That is, if the belt is a separate piece on this one, and it looks to be a separate piece on the Jim Lee version. So looking it over, I can see that they share, at least one fist. I don't remember if this one came with alternate hands. I can't remember. Uh, uh, but this one has an open hand on the other side. So if he came with two fists, which I don't remember he did, they're the same two fists that would have come with Hush Batman. So now I don't really mind his fists having a little bit of extra detail to them. In fact, I like that on Batman generally. Uh, but it would have been nice if they had have given him fists that would have matched up with his actual open hands that come with the figure. But I don't think I'm going to use them. I think these hands will look fine with it. He does have a hand that is got a trigger finger to it, but he doesn't come with any accessories that would require that, like a grappling launcher or anything like that. Batman obviously doesn't use guns, or at least he hasn't since 1939. So you wouldn't want him to come with a gun anyway. Maybe that's one that's reused from another figure that would have had a gun, like a Thomas Wayne Batman or something like that. But it's a nice, impressive looking figure. I think it would have been more impressive if his ear hadn't been bent and his fins hadn't been bent. But you can fix that really easily with a hair dryer. You just hit it with a hair dryer for like 30 seconds, and you can probably flex it back into shape. It might even flex back into shape on its own. Such things happen. One thing that I am disappointed about this figure, as far as being a specifically Jim Lee Batman figure, is he's famous for putting those treads on Batman's boots, and you can see that there's no tread on the bottom of these boots. In fact, that's where they put the copyright info, the trademark stuff, and the little CE mark. So that's probably why they didn't bother with all of that on this particular figure. But it's a shame that they didn't, because, like I said, it's such a well known feature of the Jim Lee Batman, those treads on the boots. So nice detailing on the paint on the face. If you can see that, like he's actually got shading around the eyes. That's pretty cool. Got a little bit of stubble on his chin. Got the lips painted in a separate color from the rest of the skin on his face, but not so dark that it looks like he's wearing lipstick, like often what happens when they do that with male figures. You got to have like a little bit of subtle differentiation and not necessarily go too hog wild with it, unless your character is a drag queen, then you probably should be wearing lipstick. So anyway, typical Mcfarlane articulation. Arm rotates all the way around like that, rotates at the bicep. Got the double joints at the elbows. Got the cool ball joint here at the wrist. So that gives you a lot of range of motion. Just be careful when you move it for the first time, that if it's stuck, don't try to force it. Try to hit it with a hair dryer or hot water, or even put it in the freezer. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes a combination of the things, like you put it in the freezer and then dip it in some hot water, and that'll usually shock the joint into motion. Got that cool Mcfarlane torso articulation that I like with the ab crunch, and it's all, you can swivel them all the way around like that. You've got the little rubber trunks, so that hides the hip joint there, but it's still flexible enough. You can get a good range of motion out of it. You got the double joints at the knees. You can do the splits no problem. Got the ball joint at the ankles, little superfluous toe articulation where now you're just showing off. But yeah, so you can get Batman in all kinds of cool poses. The cape might be a little hindrance to that, since it is a plastic molded cape, but at least it is the soft rubbery plastic, so you can probably bend it around Batman as much as you need be. And he comes with not one but two batarangs, which look very much in the Silver Age style. I like that design, so I might wind up stealing one of these batarangs to give them to a more Silver Age Batman figure. But let's put the batarang in his open hand, and that trigger finger came in handy because then he can kind of wrap it around the batarang nicely. So you can get some cool batarang throwing poses out of him. He does have that ball jointed neck like Three Jokers Batman had, where like the neck is molded onto the head, so there's no articulation between the neck and the head, but it does give it a nice Batman kind of shape to it. Looking at the back, it gives that Frank Miller influence that he had on Jim Lee. But the ball joint should give you enough range of motion. You can still get some cool poses out of it. So let's see how the batarang fits into the other hand. Speaking of things being warped, one of my batarangs was kind of warped. I don't know if you can see that, but I can see it in real life. So even though it's a tighter fit over here, he can still hold a batarang in this hand, but it kind of squeezes between the fingers. I don't think that it works as well as the trigger finger hand works really well for that. So normally I do this stuff first. I leapt right into the figure this time. So hadn't had a chance to talk about the trading card and the stand yet. So let's go ahead and open those up before we close out. I guess I was just too excited to get to the figure and forgot about these two things. And on this particular package, they did one of the things that I like when Mcfarlane does this, whereas the bubble here is one solid bubble for both these things, as opposed to two separate bubbles for each thing. And that means I only have one bubble to peel off. So that's good. I like that. And first, let's talk about the stand really briefly. And you can see it's a fairly plain, simple plastic stand with a little DC logo embossed onto it. Every action figure should come with an action figure stand. That should be standard at this point. So, of course, these days, you could, if you got a 3D printer like I do, you can just make yourself your own action figure stand. They should still come with the ones that I buy. And then we have the trading card, which has, I believe that's the same piece of artwork that was on the back here, wasn't it? Yeah, same piece of artwork. And I've often said, whenever I open these Mcfarlane figures, you know, they really ought to have artwork on the cards instead of pictures of the action figures like they usually have. And oddly enough, Mcfarlane started doing that. I'm not saying people from Mcfarlane Toys are watching my videos and being like, hey, that guy's got a good idea. But maybe I put that idea out there into the universe. Maybe I am the one responsible. I don't know. Who knows? The universe is a serious place, isn't it? But it's a nice piece of artwork by Jim Lee. Good coloring on that. Looks very shadowy. It's not the picture you would expect, which is the one that I think is the most iconic, with him standing on the gargoyle, you know, the one I'm talking about. And he did the one with Superman where he's facing in the opposite direction and it's daytime instead of nighttime. But that's the one that I kind of, if you say Jim Lee Batman to me, that's the one that first pops into my head. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't use that one, but this is still a nice piece. So I'm not complaining. Let's go ahead and read the back. I'm pretty sure they recycled a lot of the stuff on the back of this one because they tend to do that with these characters. But I haven't read a Batman Mcfarlane card in a while, so we might as well just read the whole thing. Real name, Bruce Wayne. As a child, Bruce Wayne, TM, watched as his parents were brutally killed in Gotham City's crime alley. Traumatized by their deaths, he devoted his life to becoming the world's greatest weapon against crime, the Batman. I can't do the definite article on there anymore. The movie ruined it for me. That Batman was definitely not the ultimate weapon against crime. To become the ultimate vigilante, Batman disciplined his mind and body to reach the pinnacle of mental and physical superiority in his relentless pursuit of justice. So somebody probably should have told Matt Reeves that. Okay, I'm going to stop making fun of that movie now. At least for this episode. I'll make fun of it in further future episodes. Don't worry. So this is a pretty great figure. I'm glad that I got it. I do think that once I get that Nightfall Batman figure, it's going to wind up getting overshadowed by that one because that's the one that Neil Adams looking Batman. That's my Batman. And nothing against Jim Lee's artwork, like I said, but I'm more old school in terms of like the comics that I enjoy, and Jim Lee is definitely more of the new school. But the guy draws a good Batman. I will definitely give him that, and I definitely enjoyed reading those Hush Batman comics because I liked his artwork. Like the story itself was just kind of like I don't know. It was a mystery story with to me an unsatisfying conclusion. It's like oh the villain turned out to be the brand new character that we introduced that's been Bruce Wayne's friend since childhood, but we've never ever seen him before. One problem I did notice with this figure is like, and it might not be the same with yours, but it's with mine, is that you can see a little bit of gray poking in the seam in between his cape and cowl there. So maybe I can try to fix that, but this is a very specific shade of blue paint. It's that Jim Lee Batman blue. like it's not the kind of blue like any other artist has his Batman colored as, it seems like to me. But this is a very specific Jim Lee shade of blue for Batman. So but that's pretty much it for this episode. I've got more stuff to come. Hopefully I can have the motivation to actually do some more of these videos because I've got a bunch more Mcfarlane figures that I need to get to. I got that Batman figure from Amazon the other day. I got this Riddler that came yesterday. I'm looking forward to opening him up. That's the Arkham City Riddler. Yeah, Arkham City. So, and I've got a Mortal Kombat Joker that I got because he was on Amazon for cheap. And I have a 3D printing file for a Willem Dafoe head. So I really wanted to make a Willem Dafoe Joker. And I figured, well, this figure is pretty cheap right now. I can probably just get that and use that for the body. And then I've got the 3 superpowers figures I need to get to. I've got some wrestling stuff I got to get to. I got a Buzz Lightyear jet from the Lightyear movie, and I got the Hawk plane from Black Adam. So I've got a lot of stuff to open, and I've just been really behind because I just haven't been motivated. So hopefully I can just find the motivation. So I thank you guys for your patience, those that have stuck around, and sorry I haven't been as active lately. I'll try to be more active in the future, but I do appreciate your viewership. And if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Let me know what you think about this figure and what you think about Batman in general. And who's your favorite Batman artist? Who's an artist who you would like to see specifically done as a Mcfarlane figure? I think it might be really interesting to see them try to do like a Dick Sprang style of Batman, like that Golden Age look. That might be pretty cool. Or try to do a Dave McKean Batman, like from the Arkham Asylum graphic novel. That might be kind of interesting to see how they do that, how that would be handled. So, but anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.